Boker Tov. We continue with our 3-minute daily dose of Torah. Yesterday we talked about Melechet Shabbat, the prohibition against working on Shabbat, even to build the Mishkan. The Torah then goes out of its way in a strange kind of choice, telling us first whoever does Melacha on Shabbat will be put to death, and then it says Lo tiva'aru eish b'chol moshvotechem b'yom haShabbat. Then the Torah says, don't kindle a fire or stir up a fire wherever your habitations are on the Shabbos day. So that raises a question. We just said, don't do any malacha. And then we talk about one specific malacha. What's the point of doing that? So Rashi quotes the two opinions in the Gemara. Some say amongst the sages that giving this example wants to distinguish the punishment for making a fire on Shabbos from other malachot on Shabbat, other prohibited activities. That's why it's singled out. And there are those who say, no, it's meant to tell you in general, and it's grabbed any example they could to tell you that each malacha stands alone in terms of responsibility for performing it on Shabbos. Okay, interesting. So there are those though who point out, and I realize I'm shaking the camera each time I move. But those who point out, as Ramban, for example, suggests, that you might have thought that maybe it's not as big a deal to kindle a fire on Shabbos as doing all the other activities that we described. Working, tending the soil, and making the dyes and other things. You might say that maybe it's allowed. Why? Because the Torah went out of its way to tell us back in Parshat Bo that when it comes to Pesach, and from there to all the Shalosh Regalim, all the festivals, you're actually allowed to use fire on Shabbos to make food, Melechet Ochel Nefesh. And that, the essential part of Melechet Ochel Nefesh, of preparing food, is heating it up. So you might have thought that Shabbos follows the same rules as Yontif, and therefore the Torah goes out of its way here to tell you, no, don't worry about that. Commentaries wonder why, based on other presentations, the Torah was pretty clear that that's also not allowed. Why we would have thought maybe it is allowed, but that's how the Ramban presents it. The Chizkuni says the following. What's the reason that the Torah goes out of its way to specifically warn us about using fire? Because the fi she'ena nir'eit malacha. It doesn't look like it's a malacha. You just strike a match. You just you move the logs in there and you strike a match to it and say, what's the big deal? It's not like, again, working hard in the field. B'shema yamru lo noseh malacha b'Shabbat. You might say perhaps that no malacha was really carried out, no creative act was really done, and so you'll say, what I'll do is I'll get all my things ready before Shabbos. On Shabbos I'll navir b'pachamim. I'll light up the coals, and then as soon as Shabbos is over, I'll go ahead and melt and smelt my gold and silver with the fire that I've created. So it's not about cooking, but other things you say, but it's just part of my preparation things. So the Torah goes out of its way to tell you, no, this is indeed a malacha. And in fact, we should just consider, and I realize our time is up, we should consider that using fire is actually an essential part of most malachot, and many malachot, because if malacha is in the end about changing something's form in an essential way, so fire is used to do that in a very significant way. And so indeed it is a perfect exemplar, an essential component to what malacha is all about. Wishing you all a good day. Have a great day indeed.